had a lot of B-roll. I had a lot of footage. And it all got corrupted. The only thing that made it were the match replays that I ended up recording. Other than that, everything else is gone. So this is kind of what the vlog is going to be. Me just kind of talking about what happened in front of the camera instead of live while it was happening. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation and the predicament that we found ourselves in. So I'm going to do my best to kind of try and make it all make sense and make it all work, but not really much I can do, unfortunately. This is Monday now, 2 days after locals, so not everything is like fresh in my mind. Plus, the day of locals, which you're going to hear me talk about in one of the new projects that I have in the works, is that I was really tired that day. So a lot of it was a blur. I'd been up since 6:30, 6:45 in the morning. I had a test that I had to take, and it just kind of fell apart. You know, it also stings because we didn't do very well. We went 1-3 again. This time playing actual hero and not the Neospatian variant. So where before we went 3-1 with like a more pure hero, now we're back to 1-3. So in the new project that I have coming out, you're going to hear a lot more about the actual experiences and hear a lot more about the actual things that happened during the match. But for the most part, the live reactions are gone, which sucks. But let's break it down. Let's talk about what happened, what went wrong, and why I went 1-3. So, our first matchup was pretty easy. We were playing Scareclaw, Try, kind of a mix between the two, and we did okay. Game 1 was a little bit of a slug, lasted almost the whole round. My opponent was just kind of learning some newer cards, so I was reading them over just to make sure that we were actually playing them right, and just kind of taking it slow, but also trying to be as thorough and accurate as possible within our game state, within our boards, and with everything that we were doing. My opponent was great, super awesome. They ended up going 2-2, so they did pretty well overall, and they were just a really great opponent. I had no issues with them whatsoever, and I think that they're going to be one of my favorite people to face going forward because they were just kind and very nice. Our next opponent was Sword Soul. Now, Sword Soul, I need to learn how to play against Sword Soul. I really need to learn how to play against Sword Soul. I got swept. No chance for me to come back, and it was a 2-0, and I was out of there. I know that I misplayed a little bit. You'll see a bit more of that within the video project that I have coming out, but overall, there's not really much I could do with what I was trying to build on the board and what I was trying to accomplish. I made a lot of errors. Like I said, I was extremely tired going into the day, so my brain was just kind of going auto combo and not really like thinking about the board that I was trying to make and really trying to out what my opponent had. The only thing that made it worth it for me at first was I hit a Mystic Mine with Harpy's Feather Duster. That was about it. Past that, I got swept hard. It was rough. Opponent was super great though. Super nice. Talked to me after. I asked for some tips and tricks, and they were great. So I have no complaints about my opponent. I don't have any complaints about any of my opponents. They were all great. They were all super nice, super kind, and just great people. My next opponent, Mech Knight. This was the match that everything started to kind of go downhill. So I lost to Mech Knight as well, obviously. I only won once. in the duel, columns became really big, and I wasn't paying attention to that, and I should have been paying attention to that. So it just kind of came down to, are my misplays going to cost me the game? And they did. I ended up being able to OTK game 2, and game 3, I got Nibiru'd for the first time in person. I've been Nibiru'd plenty on Master Duel, EDO Pro, all these other dueling simulators. Never been Nibiru'd in person. So it stung. It stung for sure. But that won them the game, because Hero can't really recover from that. So, unfortunately, that's what I was stuck at. Doing. And that opponent ended up being one of my brother's best friends from high school, which I didn't realize at the time. So that was neat. Got to kind of catch up with them afterwards via Facebook Messenger. So that was really cool. And then the last matchup was my first meta matchup since my first locals that I went to. And we played against Tearlament. And I got swept hard. 2-0. I was out of there. I got Nibiru'd again. The second time in person. The second match in a row. I got Nibiru'd again. And that was it for game 2 of that series. We were done at that point. That one stung because I have sided my deck. I've set up my deck. I've prepared my deck for Tearlament, not for Nibiru. So Nibiru won the game because the rest of my hand and the rest of what I was playing could have taken care of Tearlament. Now, my opponent did play smart. They played around the big bird. So Super Poly was off the table. Wasn't going to be a target. I drew Super Poly way too many times, by the way. Almost every opening hand I had 1 or 2 Super Polys in my hand. That was a problem. That was a huge problem because I couldn't use them in the capacity that I was trying to use them. So it just didn't work out for me and ended up costing me the game because I could have used more resources or more hand traps so that I could actually get rid of some things or stop things from happening. But what you gonna do? There's really not much you can do. I didn't draw the out, and I couldn't stop the boards from going any further. So we're gonna get into the deck list of what I was playing, and then we're going to talk about what I'm going to be trying to pick up before the next locals and add to the deck so that we can make sure that we're playing a deck that is worthy of being played. I'm now realizing that Nibiru is back in the cycle of people's side decks, so I need to play against that and play through that. So let's get into the deck profile, kind of talk about the choices that I made, talk about things that I'm going to be adding in, and just kind of overall discuss why I still play Hero, because it's stinging right now, not gonna lie. But let's throw it over there. Alright, so let's go over the choices that I made, why I made them, what I was playing, what I'm not going to be playing, and just kind of generally talk about the hero deck that I was going with for this tournament. It's very similar to what I was playing last time, but we were playing under the new ban list, so that means some changes. First off, the elemental heroes. Very standard double Stratos. Not many hero players are playing triple Stratos anymore. I can see why, but I also kind of miss having that extra search, which is why I'm still playing another spell card that we'll get into later. But we also have Shadow Mist that we can use to go into other things and to search for other things by sending it to the grave, either from card effects or just in general from using different types of cards that we can play with in our hands. 1 Liquid Soldier, pretty standard. Liquid Soldier comes in handy for either getting out a Stratos to just search into something extra, or going into some extra draws. Getting 2 off the top can be really, really useful, especially when your resources are fairly limited and you've kind of run out of gas. Honest Neos. A lot of people are cutting this card in Hero. I don't want to. I think that it's great. I think that it's really good to have just kind of in your back pocket. So if one of your opponents just tries to swing over something that looks a little bit weaker, then you can just kind of boost it up and call it a day. Spirit of Neos. Love this card. Came in handy twice. Really, really solid. Would recommend playing it. Stopping attacks and being able to just make it so that your opponent can't do much against what you're doing. It's really solid. Plus, you can go and take up that polymerization. So if you don't draw it in your opening hand, or you don't have a good way to get to Vion, then this is another option potentially if you end up drawing him or searching into him. Next up is double bricks. This is for the Flame Wingman stuff that I still love playing. I don't really want to move away from it if I can, but I'm getting to a point where I'm going to locals enough that maybe I'll have to. I really don't want to. I'd like to keep it up, but I also would like to win matches, so we'll see. So far, these two were used for Super Poly dumps for the discard 1 more than they were used to go into Flame Wingman. So far they actually have some use regardless and have come in handy overall. I'm going to keep playing them until I just keep losing. Up next is the Destiny Heroes. We are running triple Malicious. I do this every time, but double Malicious and Denier. Just standard package. Celestial, the effect is nice occasionally. And Plasma. Plasma is a really good going first option, so if your opponent wins the dice roll, makes you go first, you can stop a little bit there. And it's just overall really a good option. Stops a lot of potential play, so Plasma, really solid. Into the Vision Heroes, we're playing triple Ferris. Just a big combo starter. Can stop a couple of realistically one play with Super Poly if you're going to try and go into Garura during your turn, which I don't think you would do, but if you ever were to, then it stops that. But it's not that big a deal because you can build a pretty beefy board with heroes alone. Double Vion. I'm going to start maybe playing around with playing triple Vion and one less of Ferris, but we'll see. I like seeing Ferris in my opening hand. Unlike Increase, which I don't want to see at all. So I play it at 2 because I don't want to brick. But let's move into the spells and traps. Alright, so for the spells and traps, because we were playing with the new ban list, triple Fusion Destiny, needed, going into DPE, going into a couple of the other Destiny Hero fusions, just invaluable. Very, very solid option. Yes, it locks you into Dark Heroes, but the majority of heroes that you're special summoning are Dark, so it's not really that big a deal. Triple Mask Change, I think that kind of goes without saying. If you're playing heroes, you're playing Mask Change to get into Dark Law, to get into Acid after popping Absolute Zero. You play 3, I'd play 12 if I could, but you can't, so that's that. 1 Polymerization, playing around with 2, it's a possibility. 1 Miracle Fusion, 1 Instant Contact. I never went into this card this week, but I did the previous time when I went 3-1, so, I'm going to hang on to it until I see that it's really useless. Now I'm going to get a lot of flack here from hero players. I know I've said this before, and I've talked about this exact thing in the past. The hero lives at 2. I know. Trust me. I know. Don't worry. It's all fine. Breathe, hero players. Breathe. I played it 2 because a lot of the decks at the locals that I play at are very focused on just chipping away at your life points little by little, from what I've noticed. And I don't want that, and I don't want to get hit by that and hurt by that. So, double a hero lives. For now, we'll see about running 3. And last for spells and traps, Rhoda. This is the other searching card that I'm talking about. This is the other Stratos that we're playing instead of the third one. So, that's it for spell and traps. Let's move on to hand traps and board breakers. Alright, so for hand traps and board breakers, we are playing double DD Crow. Really good against Tearlament. Get things out of the graveyard. You don't want them in there. So really, really solid, really useful card. When I was playing against the Tearlament match that I had, never drew into it and never got a chance to use it, sadly. So we'll see for the future if that stays in the deck or if it goes into the side deck. But for now, I'm main decking it just because of its usefulness. And we're technically playing it at 3, I suppose, with Called by the Grave. Obviously, you have to have it set in order to use it on your opponent's turn, but it's still an option for getting rid of things from your opponent's graveyard and just stopping them from being able to do plays, plus stopping hand traps on your turn, which is always nice, except Nibiru, which I can tell you from experience this week. Then we're playing triple Super Poly. Again, I drew into this way too much. I drew into double Super Poly more times than I think I've ever drawn into the card in my entire life. So it was just bad luck for this time. I'm going to continue to run 3 Super Poly for next week because I also ran it on the locals that I went 3-1 at this exact ratio. So we'll see if it stays in at this, but going forward, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with how I use it, when I set it, where I set it, and just everything about it going forward. And then last, for the main deck, we are running triple Infinite Impermanence. Just a really solid option. Stop things on your opponent's turn. Break things when you're going, because if you're winning the die roll, you want to go second. It's heroes. You want to try and go for the kill, or at least get rid of their board and make it difficult for them to keep playing. So stopping their monster effects while it's on the field, really solid, because then they can't really do much against you. They're just kind of stuck. So I'm going to play it at 3, and I'm going to continue to play this card at 3 until something better comes out. Obviously, if I was going to get droplets, I would probably replace the imperms with droplets, but I don't have those. So for now, I'm just going to run it like this. Let's go into the extra deck now. All right, so let's go into the extra deck. Like I said before, we're playing 1 Flame Wingman. I'm going to continue to play this card until I really just can't anymore. I love it. I love that I can play it, so I'm going to continue to do so. Until it loses me a game, it stays in the extra deck. I can run the 2 bricks. I can run those no problem. They're Super Poly potential targets because they have an E hero name, so for now, Flame Wingman stays. If it loses me a game, it's out. Up next, the Masked Hero package. Playing 1 Blast. Could probably get rid of this, honestly, but I'm going to continue to play it for now. It might come out when I end up doing the changes and when I end up going through what I'm going to be taking out of the deck and what I'm going to be putting back in. So we'll see. Double Darklaw. I didn't go into this card as much as I could have and should have. That was my mistake. That was the biggest issue that I ended up facing, was that I just didn't go into Darklaw, and I should have. I should have just screwed the board, said, F it to a lot of things, and just gone Darklaw, sat on that, because honestly, it could have won me games if I had just played it, and I didn't. So, Darklaw for the future, absolutely. Going to stick with that. Masked Hero Acid, just absolute 0 pop to do a board wipe is really nice. Obviously, unless they stop it. But Acid, just a solid card. I'm going to continue to play it. It's only a 1 of, so not really that bad to have in the deck. Plus, you have 2 targets for it, realistically, because you could use Mass Change on Liquid Soldier, and that counts as a fusion, so you can get the draw 2, discard 1 effect. So, it stays. For the E-Hero package, we are playing Sunrise. Search Miracle Fusion. Pop a card when another hero attacks. Boost because of attribute. Really solid, especially when you're playing with the Evil Hero combo, which we'll go into because it's sitting in the side deck. Because you're boosting Malicious Bane up, and then you have the potential to wipe more of your opponent's field because it's boosted by an additional 400, and if it meets or is less than Malicious Bane's attack, it gets destroyed. So, very solid. I'm going to keep running Sunrise. I think that it's really a good card. I don't think any hero player is going to argue with you if you were to say that. It's not really a controversial take at all. Up next, Absolute Zero. Already kind of mentioned it. Board wipe. Really good. Not going to go into it too much further. Nova Master is coming out of the deck and going into the side for sure. I never ran into Sprite Elf. It was sitting in there for Sprite Elf, so honestly, it's just not great. So I'm just going to continue to, you know, play the best that I can without the card. Replace it with something else. Replace it with something more useful. Either from the side deck or from just another pool of hero cards. I'm thinking of putting in Dystopia, Destiny Hero Dystopia, because now Fusion Destiny is at 3. So I like to have one Destiny Hero target per Fusion Destiny. That's kind of my ratio for those cards. And I'm not playing that this time, which we'll see when I talk about how I'm playing one copy of Dangerous. Solid card. Confuses opponents occasionally. Didn't really have a chance to do that today. Or, well, not today, but, you know, on Saturday. But really works out because they expect you to go into DPE. So I bait that out, and then go into that, can search a little bit more, build up a better board, and continue on. That really worked out well when I had the 3-1 record before. So hopefully I can continue doing that. Now, like I didn't go into Darklaw too much, I also didn't go into DPE too much. Again, I was very tired, and you're going to hear about this a little bit more in the project that I'm working on, because I talk about this in much greater detail in that. But I didn't go into DPE, and I didn't go into Darklaw, which was a problem. I should have, and I didn't. So those were my mistakes. Those were my big mistakes. I could have done a lot more, could have popped a lot more, could have stopped a lot more. So going forward, Darklaw, DPE, my main 2 targets. I don't know why I didn't place this card. I really don't. I need to test more with the deck and with this card in particular. I'm just not seeing targets to use it with, ever. When I was playing Tier, never saw 2 that were the same attribute and same type. When I was playing Sword Soul, never saw 2 that were the same attribute and the same type. I just never saw a good reason to use the card. So honestly, I'm about to relegate it to the side deck and just kind of call it there, and maybe even remove it completely, because I just don't like it. I really just don't. I think it's weak, and until I can really see it used effectively, I don't want to run it. That being said, Cross Crusader for links. Pretty standard if you're playing Destiny Hero. Typically you play 2, which I would honestly replace Garuro with the second one, so that I have more gas going forward, because if you run out of gas, you're done in Hero. 1 Infernal Divisor. This is to make the Flame Wingman stuff viable, plus it just gets 2 targets into your hand, so that, again, you have an elemental hero name if you need to Super Poly into one of the Omni Hero targets, or you can just discard for Super Poly, so then you actually have some fodder in your hand to get rid of, so that you're not using combo pieces to use Super Poly and potentially swing for something, or, you know, go into Flame Wingman when you're just going to get Nibiru'd or hit hard. Wonder Driver recycles fusion spells, just really solid. I don't really see a reason to talk about it further. If you know anything about heroes, you know that recycling fusion spells is necessary. So I'm going to play this card until I can't, but I don't see a reason why I wouldn't. And Dread Decimator. Dread Decimator is just a solid option, solid card, boosts attack, does a lot of different things that your opponent is like, oh, okay, well, that sucks. And I actually went into this card to swing for game against the Mech Knight player that I faced. That was the OTK that I had. Dread Decimator was part of that. So, gonna continue to play that. It's a very solid card, just really, really good. That's the extra deck, though. Let's swing over to the side deck. Okay, so for the side deck, I kind of hinted at this earlier. We were playing the Evil Hero package. Just really worth putting into the deck if you need it, but I didn't really go into it that often. And when I tried to, I ended up just getting Nibiru'd. Those were the 2 times that I got Nibiru'd is when I brought this out. So it hurt, but I still want to play this. A lot of people are talking about not playing it in their deck. I don't see why. I think it's still worth it. So I figured I'd at least throw it in the side deck for the time being. Next, we're playing Triple Ash in the side. I sided this in twice. Didn't really see it too often, though, unfortunately. So it just kind of became useless. But I'm still siding it for now, just in case I go up against some rogue contenders that are going to be searching a little bit more and that are going to utilize being hit against it a little bit more, I guess. So for now, it stays, but until I really see if it's useless, it stays in the side deck. Double Cosmic Cyclone. We're playing this to get rid of Mystic Mine. It didn't get hit on the ban list, so because of that, we are going to continue to play Cosmic Cyclone and back row removal. We need to. Gotta get rid of the back row. So Cosmic Cyclone is a good way to do that, especially if they're protecting it, because it's just a removal. So really solid. We're playing double that and double Twin Twister. Just get rid of things. Get rid of things off the board. Along with Harpies. Harpies actually came in clutch once because I Harpied a Mystic Mine away when I was playing against the Sword Soul player. It worked out really well and just kind of became the reason why I could go into a combo that then later got broken the next turn. For the last 4 cards, we are doing all extra deck cards. We're going Gaia, Escurido, The Shining, and Great Tornado. Bunch of targets for these for Super Poly. I didn't run into any, unfortunately, or didn't draw Super Poly when I sided these cards in, the few times that I didn't draw Super Poly. So, you know, we'll take it from there and we'll see what happens, but that's what I'm sitting at right now for the side deck. If you have any suggestions, obviously throw them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, but this is kind of just what I played. I honestly think the deck is solid, but I just ran into a lot of decks that I either misplayed around or played around me just in general. So let's throw it back to me and we'll just kind of end this makeshift vlog and call it for today. And that's the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed watching this kind of last minute put together vlog because all my footage was deleted. But regardless, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell so that you get notified whenever I post videos going forward. You won't get notified when I post shorts. It's not like my Discord where that gets blown up. Don't worry. But I'm going to be live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and every other Saturday. I'm going to be recording more footage from locals going forward, doing a little bit more, and working on projects that I'm pretty excited about, including one that is going to be posted later this week. So I really hope that you are excited for that. Come back to watch that and enjoy it as much as I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy putting it out there, recording it, and making it. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all stay happy, healthy, and safe, and wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good night, and goodbye.